Welcome, Sara Haines, and welcome, audience, to the Gun Show. What is going on here? Wow, look at this.
We put a little body glitter on there, and you can just have yourself your own show.
You know, people say we have a liberal slant, but clearly we are pro Second Amendment here in the Behind the Table podcast.
Oh, did he work all show on that one?
The guns are out. The guns are out.
Do you have permission to carry?
Nicely done.
Yep.
So I'm going to start with something from yesterday's podcast. This is Joy on the podcast yesterday. Here we go. It's an interesting show because we have 6 very strong women that are designed and built to want and need different things.
Yeah.
And to be.
Who's your favorite? Tell the truth. I know who it is.
Who do you think it is?
Sarah.
Really?
Of course. She's everybody's favorite.
You know, you're all.
Oh, come on.
You know, it depends on the day.
Come on. Don't kid a kidder.
It depends on the day.
You know it's Sarah.
That is so sweet. That's Joy projecting because I'm her favorite.
Okay. So, I mean, the question is, do you think you're my favorite?
No.
No, I know you don't think that.
No.
And who do you think my favorite is?
I'm going to go with probably Whoopi.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's hard not to.
Because Joy picks on you too much.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'd say Joy is a close because she's, iconic to this show. But I would say Whoopi because she just, you know what you're going to get when you go in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also would say Alyssa, Whoopi and Alyssa maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
I find my favorite is whoever I've seen the longest time from. So when I leave someone's room, they immediately drop to the lowest on my list. And then it goes on.
Because I don't think you have a lot of confrontation in my room.
No, not often. It's not. None of
I
them.
would say Alyssa and Whoopi because Alyssa is, as a person, hard to not like, and she reminds me a little of like someone who's methodical and thoughtful. She's not reactive or emotional. That's me. So I would say having someone more moderated or like,
I really don't think I have a favorite. I think
don't kid a kidder.
No, I think there are people that I get. You all get on my nerves. It's usually whoever I've spoken to most recently. But much like a parent, I feel like I love all my children in different ways, and I am
Joy's favorite though.
You're Joy's favorite. That's nice.
Well, no, because I appreciate her comedy to levels that even when she's like punching me in the face, I ask her to do it again.
Yes, no, she does. You're a great audience.
I love her comedy.
Which I enjoy also with you. You're a very good audience, and we have fun.
So for a comedian to have someone who's a good audience,
yes,
it's going to lead me kind of ahead of the game.
Yeah. Moving on. All right. So this morning in the Hot Topics meeting. Yes. Well, first of all, let me talk about my day because let's make it about me. That's what people tune in for.
It is your podcast.
It is my podcast. I had a nightmare morning because I woke up dead from sleep at 8:00 in the morning this morning on Long Island.
I overslept yesterday.
Did you?
Remember, you were the
right.
first person in my mind
here.
because I panicked and I was still the first one here. But isn't that the worst feeling?
It was horrible. And I realize now what happened is it's Lunar New Year today and my kids were off from school.
My kids were too.
My wife was sleeping in because the kids didn't have to go to school. So the house was silent. It was like a weekend. I woke up in a cold sweat. A lot of people are out today who work behind the scenes. Yep. It was like the worst possible day for me not to be there. So I had to take the Hot Topics meeting in transit.
Yeah.
I was on, and I look a little disheveled today.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed. But so I was virtual for the Hot Topics meeting. But in the morning Hot Topics meeting, we were talking about people who...
Wait, before you do that, do you find yourself in a panic when I first wake up late? The first thing I start doing is navigating what I can do without and what I can't.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I don't have to shower. No, I definitely have to shower.
I didn't shave.
Brush my teeth? Okay, I'm definitely brushing my teeth. Do I have to wash my hair? No, I don't have to wash my hair. Do I have to... Like, my brain goes so fast.
Yes.
And by the way, I wake up and the whole house is like one big white noise sound machine and no one's moving.
Yeah.
And Max was like, oh, no, what's going on? And I was like, it's too late.
No, I was like, and of course, I'm also enraged that everybody else in the house is still asleep. Yeah. So I'm making as much noise as possible.
I do that to Max, not the kids, because you never wake sleeping babes. But Max, I get extra clunky.
I got a teenager. You can wake a sleeping teenager.
They don't even wake up.
No, it's very difficult. But all right. So anyway, in the Hot Topics meeting this morning, and this is kind of apropos of what we're doing right now, we talked about people that tell meandering stories that never seem to end. And it was kind of pegged to men that do this, but you said Max often says to you, land the plane, Sarah. Are you a long storyteller?
Well, maybe I'm a bad storyteller. So long, yes. Mm-hmm. I also digress. There are times I see Max's face glaze over and I know I lost him and I'm barely in a sentence.
Right.
And he's like, so he does this exercise with me because I said, I actually appreciate being more concise. I literally have a job where we make points that should be concise.
Yes, and something
tell
you spend a lot of
stories.
time trying to figure out how
I
to do.
I
Yeah.
actually try. But at home, there are times where I'll see him glaze over and he's like, oh my God. And I go, land the plane? And he's like, yeah. So we go back over how to tell the story. But I heard you've been in that situation too. Didn't Joy do that to you?
Joy's done it many times where she's told me I don't know how to tell a story.
Do you meander?
I think I'm actually a pretty good storyteller. On this podcast, I sometimes go off on a tangent because I'm also like looking for something.
Yeah.
But in general, I've got my anecdotes. I'm good at a dinner. I feel like I've got my good solid 7 minutes of material.
Honestly, other than myself and possibly my sister and maybe my mom, I've never noticed people that you're like,
Like you're like glazing over with.
literally like land the plane. By the time I get land the plane, I'm like, I don't even remember what the destination was.
But when you're married, you also get into a point where it's not like when you're married for a long time, you've heard every story. You know them all. Like I know all my wife's stories. She knows all my stories.
He knows all my stories, but it'll be I'm trying to tell him a new story,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll say, didn't need that. Oops, didn't need that.
Wow.
Didn't need
He's
that.
editing you as you tell the story.
There have been a few times because he does this face, and I was like, are you not what's
He's a
going
lawyer.
on?
That's why.
But it's so, I admire it. Like he does, it's like a
Mm-hmm.
training, a thought process that never danced near my genes. Like I don't know what it is.
So my career forever was doing celebrity interviews with people and kind of crafting their stories with them, like doing late night talk shows.
Okay.
So it was kind of like beat, payoff.
Yeah.
And I would work with them on those things. So then I kind of do that myself when I tell a story.
That's smart. I need to be
And
a
I have,
producer for
and Heather and
celebrities.
I, well, yeah, you produce your social interactions. So, but Heather and I will set each other up for stories and stuff like
Okay.
that. It's like, well, Brian's got a story. Remember the time? And then like, we've got a nice little
We don't have the nice
repartee.
little Max will start, and then right when I take the breath to show, he goes, Sarah, we've heard that one.
Mm-hmm.
So meandering is my strength, and digression is my minor.
We run into problems with time on the show, obviously, all the time.
Yeah.
And because people do tend to meander. And it's always funny for me because often the people that speak the most have no recollection of or no realization of the fact they are the ones speaking the most and will complain to me
That they don't
about
get in a lot?
that they didn't get in a lot or don't hold the ball too long. This is over time, not
Yeah.
the current table even necessarily. But so I started a while ago timing how long people talked in the first segments. And there's no thrill better for me than when someone complains to me about how long other people talked and then to have that loaded up and send it to them. Well, actually, you went 35 seconds longer than everyone else in that segment. So that's fun. These are the small petty things I get to enjoy.
No. You're good at petty.
I'm very good at petty. All right. I'm being told we have a surprise phone call for you from a podcast fan that has a unique connection to something you brought up on last week's podcast. Let's listen.
Hey, this is Jeffrey Boyer Chapman. My question is for Sara Haines. Sarah, I hear you're a fan of Unreal. I played Jay, the producer, I think probably the only producer with a moral compass on the show for 4 seasons on the show. And my question to you is, if we were to ever do an Unreal reboot, what reality genre or show would you want to see the producers tackle next? That it would be if we were to step outside of the world of a dating competition reality show like The Bachelor. Shout out to all the Bri guys out there. Love the podcast. Love the show.
Whoa, ho, ho.
Jeffrey, I am honored to meet you. Wow, didn't see that coming.
This is very exciting.
It's very exciting, and you killed it in your role. And you are right. You are the closest thing to a moral compass, although you entered questionably gray territory at times. I would say the first thing that comes to mind that will never happen and my boss will nix so fast would be a show like The View.
Oh, I'm on board.
Because now, Jeffrey, now I want to call him Jay, I trust no one because of you. I trust no one. Ever since I had binged Unreal, and major kudos to all of you because I lapped that up. I literally look around and I'll be like, are you producing me right now? And I do it to my friend Summer all the time. Brian, everyone that walks in my room, I'm like, here it goes. They're Racheling me. They're Jaying me. I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
So
you see all the strings.
All the strings. You have revealed how the sausage is made, and I thank you for your contribution to my new understanding of television.
Well, so I was not an Unreal watcher. I'm going to be now because he's a Bri guy. So I'm going back tonight. I'm
my
watching it all.
gosh.
But I'm very easy. By the way, if anybody wants to get their call on the show, just say you're a Bri guy.
Just say you're a Bri guy
it's
and
gonna
you're in.
happen.
Give a little praise and then you're done.
But I would say, so this is why I don't watch reality shows. I don't watch Housewives. I don't watch The Bachelor because I am a producer and I know what happens. I know behind the scenes.
But the counter to that is,
Yes.
and the reason I think it makes we always knew as people in TV and media that there was a certain amount of production planting the seed. I never thought people in The Bachelor walked up to introduce themselves with live animals on their own,
Right.
on their own thought or idea. So I always knew producers were involved. I just didn't know where that ended and the person began. I have laughed forever that certain people will take a suggestion a producer makes. How far will they go? There are times where it's mortifying. And I was like, I don't care what producer you're. I don't care if I knew TV. If you ask me to carry a chicken up or do a cartwheel or round off back handspring or ride up on, a child's tricycle, I
Bring
would
a
say,
llama.
sorry. Yeah, I heard about that. I would, I'm good, or that's not really me. You might want to go to Tiffany next door.
Right.
I like to see how far people will go because they are being produced. I don't think they're completely unaware, but they do it anyway.
Well, so, okay, I will say I've worked in television for 25 years, God, and this is the least produced show in that aspect of any genre of television I've
No, but
worked
there's
on.
a lot of stuff. There's a lot of, I find it fascinating what goes on.
I think, but this show, you guys aren't, it's different. Like when I worked in late night, actors and actresses coming on a show, I would really massage their segments. I
Yeah.
would really work on I'd kill stories. I'd work with them. And again, this is the Letterman show and they did a lot more there, but bits and things like that. You guys, we make suggestions. We kind of,
Yeah, it's not producing.
You guys aren't, your personalities aren't produced. We're incredibly unscripted.
No, but the side stories of the different hosts, like imagine
Sure.
imaginary hosts going through the stories. And
Oh, no, it's
the
a good show.
I guess I'm
yeah.
conflating the fact that I'm obsessed with Unreal, but I was also always obsessed with The Office.
Right.
So I'm kind of marrying two ideas that you have so many almost pre-written storylines.
So I would suggest, so my first genre of TV was late 90s daytime single topic talk shows.
Okay.
Not Jerry Springer.
Like Oprah?
Well, so I worked on the Montel Williams show
Yeah.
and I worked on Ricky Lake
Oh, I love Ricky Lake.
and I did a season of Judge Hatchett.
Okay.
Those stories, that is unreal. That is definitely, I mean, I have so many horrible stories. Like, I did couples with a lie detector test and, they stormed off stage and I went to get them back and they took a swing at me. I mean,
I can't
it's
do
just
that.
crazy, crazy, crazy things. And the producers, as a producer, we did not good things. There was definitely
no.
morally gray areas there.
To survive and make those shows, you
Right,
know,
right, because
you need some action.
Yeah, so the Jerry Springer documentary, and I never worked on anything like
I
that.
need to watch that. I
but
heard
it's
it's
worth
great.
watching.
Yeah.
It's worth watching for sure. All right, moving on. Yesterday, I also asked Joy about something Miley Cyrus recently said. It was about how she doesn't regret any detours in her life because they have led her to where she is today.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? I feel like you spend a lot of
Absolutely.
time contemplating these sort of things. You're deep.
Yeah, because without mistakes or falls or detours, you don't learn anything.
Right.
It's through those moments, the most humbling, painful, lonely, that you learn, you grow, you move forward. There's a fearlessness to it. I always say, one example is I left the show to go do a show that I loved with Michael and Kiki. It was awesome. But due to the pandemic and other things, it didn't work out. And I remember being in a show, I'd always been in institutional shows, being in a fresh show, you feel this pressure because your name's in the title and you're like, oh, and it's a 2-person show and then 3-person show, but it's not a panel. Like there are times you're writing it by yourself. When I came back, I felt this unleashing of, I've seen what really hard looks like, and this has a structure to it. It's been around for so many years that to slip into a team like this, there was a lot of comfort in that I had really maybe missed, forgotten, and was like, wow. So I was a little more fearless, a little bolder coming back because I had done things that, it's like any mistake, you fall on your face or it doesn't work out.
Right.
And you come back and you're like, oh, I know what real pain is. Like, I got this,
But you don't regret it.
No.
Right.
I loved it.
Right. All right. We have a listener question here. This is from Stephanie in North Carolina. She says, I love the podcast and have a question for Sarah. I have an opportunity to change jobs and go for something I've always wanted to do. I'm scared because I would be leaving the security that my job has, and I have a family and I need to think of that. However, I'm afraid that if I don't take this chance, I'll regret it. This is very apropos to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Any advice on what I should do?
First of all, hi, Stephanie. Thank you for the question. This is not an easy question because obviously you're the one privy to all the details of how many kids, the ages, your financial situation. But my gut, if I'm answering it in a vacuum, is you have to do it. And I say that because risk, by its very definition, is you're going to, there's going to be struggle. Maybe you're going to have a hard time for a little bit. But I always say that the weight of fear is less than the weight of regret. And you live once, and would you look back and say, I maybe should have done it?
Right.
If you do it and it doesn't work out, at least you tried. Safety is secure, it's familiar, it's easy. That's what the definition of all of that is. Life and a lot of the best parts of it come in that uncomfortable, bumpy detour that you may take along the way. I would guess you'll regret it if you don't go.
Okay, so from this moment on, whatever she decides, it's on Sara Haines.
Yes, so definitely reach
clear.
out to me if there's problems. No, but I mean,
I agree.
Stephanie,
Take
good
the
luck,
risk.
because my biggest fear when I got offered a staff position at NBC was I would get benefits and a lot of the securities of a job. And I knew if I told my parents, and this was when I was auditioning and taking risks and, babysitting to make ends meet. And I remember thinking, if I tell my parents, knowing how much I need their approval, that I got offered a job that would offer me safety, security, benefits, and all those things, that voice and that might be too loud for me to fight back on. And I ended up taking that job, and I did get stuck a bit.
You can get stuck. And I will say, I mean, you're mentioning having a family, and that's part of the risk. It's easier when you don't. Like early on, you should take risks. I know that for sure. And because it doesn't mean she shouldn't do this now, but it is so much. I think back in my career and I took steps backwards to move forwards.
Yep.
And I was able to do that because I didn't have kids, because I didn't have a mortgage to pay, because I didn't. And I think that's my advice for people coming up in this industry and all industries is take the big swings when you can afford to stumble.
But I would also say, don't write it off when you do have more responsibility, because there was a line in Younger. I'm just watching Younger now. That's also because I know.
Listen,
10 years behind.
There's this new show, Knight Rider. You're gonna love it.
Called Three's Company.
Yeah.
No, Younger, where Sutton Foster has, she's obviously lying about her age, and her daughter calls her from abroad and says, I'm moving home. And Sutton Foster's character was recently divorced. She has nowhere to live, all the things. And the daughter says, well, where will we live, Mom? And she goes, we'll figure it out. And I think it's a reminder that at your situation, yes, there's a lot of comfort involved. As a parent and a partner, the greatest responsibilities, can we make our ends meet and all the things? But there's a broad range of struggle. If you can't feed your kids, if you cannot, those are big problems. If you have to cut back, skimp a little to make sure mom gets her chance, you can explain that later. And I'd say, this is your life too.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, let's go back to a hot topic from today's show where we talked about the breakup on The Bachelor between Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell. Hey, I said it right. After dating for 4 years, Rachel went on the Call Her Daddy podcast yesterday and said she was blindsided by Matt breaking up with her, but there were red flags that she ignored.
Yeah.
Have you been in relationships that had red flags that you ignored?
Hell yeah. I mean, my whole life looks like Christmas. It's all red flags, and some of them I brought. But yes, and similar. It was. I had a 4-year relationship where you see what you want to see.
Right.
So we often write our own endings. Meanwhile, if you don't keep your eyes open to answers you don't want to hear, you don't see what's right in front of you. The red flags of someone not apologizing, the red flags of people who are non-committal, who say, no, we're headed somewhere. And then slowly nothing moves forward. But honestly, I would say just like the detours of Miley Cyrus, it took her every day to get to that point, she and him. And that's a good thing.
Right.
They got there. And now, thank God, it's much harder to go forward and divorce and separate and all the things when it doesn't work out. So in some ways, these are gifts if you just change how you look at them.
All right. What was your biggest red flag on you, do you think? What is the biggest Sara Haines red flag?
He was mad she cried in a restaurant. There are days I don't stop crying. I cry. I can't make a decision. I digress in my stories. Did you hear the land the plane?
Yeah.
Max always jokes it wasn't that there weren't red flags. I just kept walking towards them.
Yeah.
I come to the date, though. I don't hide my freak flag. I just wave them louder. And something about me got Max. But I am every stereotype you ever thought, and then some.
I would like to do it's been this many days since Sara Haines last cried counter.
Oh my God. There are days I'm in the middle of a sentence talking about something and I start crying. He's like, why are you crying? I was like, I have no idea, and I don't even want to think about it.
It was like RFK and the mice today. Like, yeah, you get very...
Oh my God, don't even talk about
All right,
that. Like,
I'm sorry.
It so disturbs me.
It's horrible. But it's sweet that you wear if you had sleeves, you wear your emotions on them. All right. Thank you for joining me today, Sara. America's sweetheart, everyone's favorite. We love.
Did you hear the
calls.
red flag part?
Yes.
I feel I'm getting some
Land the
beautiful
plane,
title
Sara.
that I did not.
Land the plane.
Okay, landing the plane. Let's go. Okay.
Thank you for joining me today.
Welcome to Denver, Colorado.
We love the calls. They were great today.
Yes, they were.
Please keep them coming. Check your episode description for how to get in touch with us. And tomorrow I'll be back with Anna Navarro. See you then.
Also super emotional.
Super emotional. Yeah, Anna Navarro. Now a day goes by where she's not just weeping.
I've never seen her cry.